This is my latest guitar acquisition. Yet another trophy to throw atop my dragon's hoard of opulence. It's a Valiant Mercury in distressed copper finish. If you are already familiar with the brand, then there will be no surprise that this is an incredible guitar. Valiant make the best guitars I've ever played, and at this point I've played a lot of them, and they are consistently amazing. It's taken 3 years and a lot of getting to know the lovely people who work for the brand, but they finally built me one, and this is it. If you were at the London Guitar Show a few months back, you might even have played this very guitar, as it was available to try at the booth before it shipped its way up to me. And judging by how fucking disgusting the strings were when it arrived, it got a lot of attention at that trade show. Rancid English jobby hand crust aside, this Mercury would absolutely, without a doubt, be my perfect guitar were it not for 2 very minor issues I need to address. The first one you might even chalk up to personal preference, or me being an insufferably unpleasable bastard. See the volume and tone controls? Well, they turn way too easily. There is so little frictional resistance on these that the volume knob can be turned all the way down from lightly brushing the knob with a picking hand during play. I noticed this the first time I picked up the guitar and instantly decided that I just can't operate under these conditions. There are 2 solutions to this. One, I can insert a rubber O-ring or a circular piece of foam between the knob and the control plate to add turning friction, but that's a garbage solution that I would never be happy with. Or 2, just swap out the potentiometers for ones with higher turning resistance. These are CTS pots. I'm using these on every other guitar I own. They have a smooth action and my muscle memory is already dialed into how they feel to turn. These will only turn when I purposefully want them to. I'm replacing like for like. I have no intention of changing the sound of the guitar, just how the controls feel to turn. The original pots are audio taper 250 kiloohms with a solid shaft, so that's what these replacement CTS pots are. The only difference is that the original ones had long shafts, but you can get the same pleasurable experience from shorter ones. I'm keeping the original tone capacitor, but since I have to rewire everything anyway, I'll put in new cloth wire and a Switchcraft jack socket. Being able to access just the control plate without having to remove the strings and uproot the whole pickguard is a significant advantage over working with the likes of a Stratocaster. There are no ground wires to solder, as this is using the metal control plate as the ground connection between the metal bodies of the pots and the jack. The second tiny issue I wanted to address involves this screw here. I noticed an annoying little independent vibration while playing, and after checking the tightness of each screw, I found this one to be loose and rattling away to itself. This is the machine screw being held in place by a nut on the other side of the control plate, which I tightened up, went back to playing, and after a while found that the same screw had worked itself loose again. That's where this stuff comes in. Thread lock. It's a weak adhesive designed to be applied to the threads of machine screws, and once fastened up to their nut, the set thread lock prevents them from working themselves loose again. It's non-permanent. It'll break away under the turning force applied by a screwdriver if I purposely want to remove the screw again in the future. This is not super glue, and I know I shouldn't have to say this, but don't super glue parts of your guitar that you might want to remove again. Valiant make these excellent bell bronze nuts, where the string slots are on machine screws that can be individually adjusted to set the height for each string. An absolute game changer for guitar setups. You don't need nut files, you don't need superglue and baking soda, just a readily adjustable nut for whatever string gauge you want to use. Under string tension, these screws stay exactly where you set them, but if you take the strings off the instrument, these are then all free to spin under their own power. So once you're done cleaning and maintaining your de-stringed instrument and go to put a fresh set of strings back on, all of these screws have changed height. I don't want that setup moving unless I actively change it. Thread lock will save me once again here. All I need to do is pop one string out of its slot, back the screw out one whole turn, add a drop of thread lock to the screw threads, and then turn the screw back to its original position. These slots are a tad narrower than the applicator, and the surface tension of the adhesive is leaving a lot of the thread lock on the outside, but enough is getting into the threads to make it work. Once all the strings are back in place, I can clean up the overspill before the thread lock fully sets up. I suppose you want to know how this thing sounds. Well, firstly, let me tell you about the pickups and the switching system of this guitar, because this ain't your standard HSS wiring. The pickups themselves are from a company called Old Bones Pickups. This is their modern set. A couple of single coils and a PAF style humbucker, all packing a little more heat than a vintage set and paired up with Alnico 4 magnets. That neck single coil is the most single coil sounding single coil I've ever heard. It's really damn nice, and everything has a lot of top end detail. These are bright and tight and ready for anything. Now, the trick to understanding the 3-switch system of this is to think of the 2 single coils as if they were the 2 coils of one neck humbucker, just spaced physically apart. This gives each humbucker a sliding switch, which will arrange the coils in series, like a normal humbucker, in parallel, like the in-between positions on a Strat, or single coil, eliminating the coil nearest to the middle from the circuit entirely. This leaves the 3-way toggle switch to combine the bridge and neck humbuckers in a manner you'll be familiar with from every 2-pickup guitar you've ever played. So with this switching system, we lose the ability to get the middle single coil on its own, but we gain so much more versatility in the process. With both sliders set to series, we effectively have a Les Paul 2 humbucker arrangement. Turn the bridge into a single coil for something similar to a humbucker telly. Both in single coil get something akin to a standard telly middle position. If you like the in-between position on a Strat, you can get it with the neck in parallel, but also add in the bridge position too for a 3 single coils activated tone that you just can't get out of a standard Strat. If you are looking for a guitar that can Swiss Army knife its way through just about every important guitar tone in the history of guitar music, and throw some of its own unique ones on top, the Mercury is going to save you time swapping between different instruments if you are doing session work or in a wedding or covers band where you need that wide tonal coverage. The fact that these are proper single coils, properly spaced, gives the Mercury much more tonal scope than Valiant's other model, Jupiter, which uses the same switching arrangement but with 2 fully fledged humbuckers. The Jupiter is an excellent hard rock machine with some tonal options, but Mercury offers coverage like no other guitar I've encountered. Now I could also tell you about the edgeless fretboard, which rolls over so smoothly you can't even feel it. Or the custom bridge hardware that pairs up the Bell Bronze saddles with an aircraft-grade aluminium alloy base plate. I could also tell you about the ratio locking tuners, or the spoke truss rod which is accessible through the fretboard, but those are all details that you can look up for yourself on Valiant's product page about this guitar. There you can check out the other colours and variants on the Mercury. Let you in a little secret, the rosewood fingerboard models feel even nicer than my maple one. Or you could take a gander at the other models that Valiant produce, if for some reason a weird hybrid offset Strat doesn't quite tickle your pickle. If you do feel like parting with your life savings to snag the best guitar you'll ever play, then I can even offer you an exclusive discount code, LOUD10, to give you 10% off your purchase. Please tell Valiant that I sent you. I'm going to leave you with a selection of sounds from the Mercury. I won't be covering every possible pickup arrangement here, but it should give you an idea of its versatility. Of course, you'll be seeing a lot more of this guitar in future videos, so make sure you are subscribed to be alerted to all future content. That's all for now. Keep it loud and stay safe.